First is the case in Africa, especially in sub-Saharan Africa due to the lack of requisite infrastructure. Now focusing on Nigeria. The United Nations organization suggests the population of Lagos at 21 million people, currently the most populated city in Africa, will double by 2030. This is a big increase in population relative to the time frame and without a corresponding increase in its landmass. Population increase also applies to other major cities within the country: Ibadan, Port Harcourt, Kaduna, the FCT, and a few others. These will put so much pressure on our infrastructure, which is already inadequate. It is high time we started exploring alternatives that are sustainable and robust enough to effectively bridge our infrastructural gap. Exploring the possibilities that our underground space has to offer for integrated water and sewage distribution, vehicular and rail transportation, utility services, underground storage facilities, oil and gas resource transportation, as well as the mining industry, is now pertinent. It is to this effect that the Tunneling Association of Nigeria was set up to promote the use of our underground space. This will be the hub for the conceptualization and development of underground-related infrastructure that will sustainably impact our everyday life. Tunneling Association Nigeria now invites potential partners, stakeholders, and persons interested in joining this campaign that will eventually see us deliver extensive underground infrastructure. Membership is open to students, artisans, and professionals with backgrounds in engineering, earth science, finance, urban development, and the built environment, law, etc. We also seek to engage both the public and private sector. Tunneling Association Nigeria is exclusively endorsed by the International Tunneling and Underground Space Association.
Welcome back. Still watching the Ben Breakfast Show. Hope you've been enjoying the show lately. It's Black History Month, like I said, and we're trying to represent with a bit of African fashion. You like it? Don't mind me. Anyway, yeah, we have another wonderful guest in the studio. Like I said, Black people doing wonderful things. And, you know, the video you just watched just explained to you tunneling, and I'm sure it's a big deal in Africa. You know, when you go to Africa, okay, let me talk for my country, Nigeria, you have like all our light poles, just everything looking scattered. You know, our PSHN, sorry, the power, we call them NEPA. You know, they don't look nice when we see them, you know, standing there. Whereas here, you don't really see like, you know, light poles everywhere. They are like on the ground. We have the underground drain. We have underground drainage, underground sewages. Everything is underground. And these people were trying to, you know, start something like that in Africa, starting from Nigeria. And I think it's really good to start things like that in Nigeria because it's going to stop us having like dirty gutters. It's going to make our country actually look beautiful.
The economy just shoots up.
Yeah, helping economy, employment, you know, just infrastructural rights, basically. But don't let me say too much. Abidemi Agwo is here today and is one of the tunneling engineers. Well done and welcome.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being here with you today. Yeah.
So, yeah, you're part of the Tunneling Association of Nigeria. Do you want to first tell us about yourself before you tell us about your association?
Okay, yeah. My name, like you rightly said, is Abidemi Agwo. I'm a tunnel engineer.
Yeah.
I've got a combined technical background in geology, tunnel engineering, as well as civil engineering. And I am the chairman of the ad hoc committee Tunneling Association of Nigeria. I've been involved in notable high-profile engineering construction here in Europe. Examples is the Crossrail tunnels.
Wow.
And yeah, it was an interesting one. I'm an advocate for sustainable engineering delivery. And I promote the sustainable development goals that really have to do with infrastructural development, water, and as well as habitable communities. I am married as well, and I've got 2 kids.
Fantastic.
I like that introduction. Well done. Yes.
Well crafted.
Yeah. Well done. So yeah, Bidemi, do you want to tell us about the Tunneling Association of Nigeria now? What they hope to do, because we know there is a lot to do in Nigeria.
Absolutely. Well, I'll start by saying the Tunneling Association Nigeria was conceived shortly after I got a River State scholarship to study in the United Kingdom.
Well
that
done.
was in 2008.
Yeah.
And it's now what has become the Tunneling Association of Nigeria. And it was inaugurated in 2015. And basically what we're looking to do is to promote the use of our underground space in Nigeria. And we believe this will greatly impact not just Nigeria, as well as regionally. It will have a regional impact in West Africa and in East Africa. And we're looking to achieve this through consultations, advisory sessions, awareness creation, which we're looking to achieve through seminars, conferences, symposiums, and the likes.
Yeah, so you know what? Another thing, before I started, we're talking about drainages, sewages, all those. There's a lot to do in, okay, let me say Africa because of Chinedu, so it doesn't left out. Yeah, but where do you think, how have you started talking to government officials about this new awareness you're trying to create? Who are you talking to?
Absolutely. There's no way we would be able to achieve this in a country the magnitude of Nigeria without getting government involved. We have been able to get across to a few relevant federal parastatals, as well as existing engineering associations like the Nigerian Society of Engineers. They basically endorsed us, and they are partnering with us in terms of promoting the underground space and development of underground space in Nigeria. We are also in talks with the Nigerian Institute of Architects, Nigerian Institute of Town Planners, and a few other relevant associations existing in Nigeria, as well as the business, the private sector. So yeah, we've been able to...
You're doing a lot. You're doing a lot.
Yeah, we've been...
Before Chinedu throws this question, because I know he has a very strong question for you.
I definitely have.
But the thing is, where do you intend to start in terms of the tunnel? Do you want to start with, because sometimes when I go underground in the UK, I know it feels a bit warm, and I know Africa, we're all like tropical environments. Absolutely. And I'm thinking, okay, if we have this in Nigeria, it's going to be extra hot. Do you think underground train system can work in Nigeria, in Africa, basically?
Absolutely. I'll say yes, emphatically. And the reason I've said this is I'm sure Asia, they've asked this question a couple of years back.
Yeah.
Now the most thriving, the biggest tunneling and underground market is currently in Asia. They've got 50% of the entire world's market.
Wow.
And it's estimated that in the midterm future, Africa will build the focal point. And the reason for this is because we know that the rate of urbanization in Africa is the fastest. And for you to have a thriving economy, you need to have requisite infrastructure, of which underground infrastructure is key. And we know that it will succeed. So, but what we look to do is to encourage the development in a gradual way, because you can't just jump in and say you want to build metros. You need to develop your skills in building micro tunnels. Use them for water integrated system, use them for telecoms instead of breaking the roads. So we'll build it up, and then we get to a point where we say comfortably, we can build a metro system.
Okay.
All right. Well, my question really is, when we Africans are sat on a Saturday or Sunday, I'm invited at Tommy's or invited mine, was drinking our Guinness, red wine. There's this perception of this cannot work in Africa. That's the perception. Look, underground will not work in Africa. We've got electricity problem, load shedding. We've got shortage of water. What's your take on the people that have this perception that this can never work, especially because of lack of electricity? Electricity goes off. We don't want a situation where this is Kaduna. The next stop is Sokota. Please stop off here because we've got electricity problem. People will come up with such perception. So what's your take on that?
Okay, beautiful question. I would be surprised if that didn't come up in the course. I would have been surprised. Yeah, so a lot of questions has been asked. We've asked ourselves a lot of questions. I'll give you an example. One thing, we look back when we had the transition from military rule in Nigeria to democracy, was they had the telecommunication problem. there were a lot of doubts as to can we do it, can we not do it.
Yes.
We pulled it off. Now, Nigeria is the biggest market in Africa in terms of telecoms.
Yeah.
In the same way, we've been able to weather the storms in different areas of our lives. And, I, for one, believe that this is a thing of the future. No one is saying we need to do it now, but we need to do it at some point. And for us to do it at that point, we need to start preparing for it now, sensitizing ourselves, creating awareness. And we would always find the solution. There will always be problems, but what we will be wrong to do is not to make an effort or put in an effort in trying to actually do it.
Yeah. So, we've spoken about that. We've spoken about the predictions that it will work. Don't I'm saying it might work. It will definitely work. Yeah, but what are the challenges you foresee or might think, these are the things that might restrict us doing that kind of thing in somewhere like Nigeria?
Okay. I think the key question will always be, even in developer, they ask the question, how do you scale the cost of developing on-the-ground infrastructure? The truth be told, it's more expensive, but how more expensive is it? We need to look at it in terms of the entire lifespan of that infrastructure. Because normally when you look at it, you probably say it's easier to build a bridge, which of course it is. But then how long will the bridge last?
Yes.
Compared to an underground infrastructure? The London Underground has existed for 150 years. It was designed to last 100 years. But the thing about underground infrastructure is that it has the capacity to bear more load, and it has more longevity than an overground or a surface infrastructure. And so, looking at it, we know that it's something that, eventually will basically help. It would help develop and bridge our infrastructure.
Yeah, so we've spoken about the transportation system. How about the drainage? We have this issue of dirty, bad gutters in Nigeria. We have drainage system. When there is rain, we know there are some particular places in Lagos that, like, Lekki, all those places on the island, maybe because of the water area, it's like another river on its own. So how do you think we can solve all those kind of problems especially drainage problems? Because I think that's the main problem.
Yeah, already there are states in Nigeria that are already employing, you'd be surprised to hear, tunneling approach. Akwa Ibom State government in 2012 built what you called the first flood relief tunnel system. Although it's a small scale project, but then it's big in the sense of what it was designed to achieve. They've had flood problems, and so what they did was channel the water through a catchment area, through a vertical system, through the underground tunnel, and then that takes the water to a relief area. I believe areas in Lagos will also need that. A few areas in the north, if they employ that, would solve a lot of problems.
So that means you still have a lot of things to do with some other government in some other states.
Absolutely,
especially Lagos State.
Yes, I know. Well, I'll get to that point, because Lagos, when you talk to people in the international tunneling company, they always look at Lagos, because Lagos is basically the most populated city in Africa. And so default, it's basically seen as a city that would need application of tunneling the most.
Yes. So in the next 5 years,
I'll be getting to Nigeria and getting on the Yam line or Northern Line, whatever it's going to be
the city line,
the city line, the metro line.
Well, I'll probably not say in 5 years' time, because that would be me being extremely optimistic. But I'm a very optimistic person. We're already building, developing our overground rail system. The trend is that will increase, because that will increase the revenue that we generate, and that would encourage infrastructure development. And obviously it will get to a point where we need to go over obstacles like rivers, mountains. That's where tunneling will come.
I like that brings me to my next question. Now, funding. I mean, I keep saying that when we start Africans, we like words like, there's too much financial constraints. There's too much financial. What's the best way to fund these kind of projects? We've seen a similar project that was about to start in Malawi and Zambia, and the general public complained that you can't borrow $7 billion or $5 billion for this particular project. So what's the best way to fund this project? Because as you mentioned, the returns are not going to happen overnight. It's going to be long term. So what's the
Yeah.
best way to fund this kind of project? Is it to borrow or rely on taxpayers' money or other avenues?
Now, developing on-the-ground infrastructure it's a big thing. It's a massive investment, and so it's government borrow to build infrastructure, and the reason is because what that does is that it enables people free movement of people, which in other words allow people to do their work, and revenue will be generated. That will now go back into repaying the borrowed money. So for me, borrowing money to build those kind of infrastructure really would be the best way, as well as also going into what you call a public-private partnership with foreign investors. As long as there's a framework, good policy in place, and there's an enabling environment, which we're believing that the Nigerian government will provide with time.
You mentioned the Nigerian government. Good point. I mean, we talk about corruption now, which is a disease in developing countries, not just Africa. I've seen similar things in African countries when we do our research, where a railway line is managed by a medical profession. So what sort of people do we need to manage these projects? You know, should they be political appointees? You know, that's what the corruption now.
I'm not a politician.
Okay, yeah.
I'm more of an engineer.
Yeah. So who should manage? Like, you know, we're talking of the CEO, the board of directors. I think matter. Do you think it should be people that have got the product knowledge or service knowledge?
Now there's a lot of arguments in Nigeria and as well as other sub-Saharan countries. Democracy in Africa is key to this, and that's basically what promotes, a sustainable development in most of these countries. And you would find out that over time, we're beginning to mature in the way we reason, in the way we do things. Although you still have corruption in the system, because that's not something that's going to go all of a sudden. It's a process. As long as we realize that we've gotten to a point where we need to develop our systems, and that is happening. The younger generation are beginning to think outside the box. The initiating something like this, I sat back. I would have sat back in the UK and just thought to myself that no, let's just leave it. But then, with the help of few other colleagues and people that have been established in the industry, they saw it a good idea and they decided to put. So that's the way I see.
It should be African management, not my cousin, not appointment.
Absolutely, to be like merit.
The right people that know the job.
That know the job to be CEOs and directors. Fantastic. I like to hear that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what's the goodwill you want to give Africans generally about this tunneling thing? Do you need more people to join, more engineers to come to your association? So, just to help so everybody can build. We need more Zambians so they can help in Zambia, Ghanaian. So what do you have to tell them?
Yeah, well, like she rightly mentioned, Zambia, the inauguration of the Tunneling Association in Nigeria is the first in the Western and Eastern African region. Africa doesn't really have a lot of representation at the international level. And so the reason we are here today is basically to, create the awareness, get our brothers and sisters that already have the experience of developing such infrastructure in diaspora, in the UK, in America, wherever they are. We need to come back and, add to what we're doing. Let's do this together. That's what we're saying.
Okay, so we need more engineers.
Yeah, it's not just engineers, basically, because the Tunneling Association is not just all about engineers. We need legal professionals, those that understand the legal implication of doing stuff. We need financial investors. We need those that understand the risk, financial risk involved in developing underground infrastructure, as well as surveyors.
And PLs, like Chinadi, that will spread the message.
Absolutely, yeah.
For talk.
Well, that's a very, very critical part of it. You need to be able to talk.
So your final thoughts before we go?
Well, I would like to say that, basically the journey of 1,000 years has to start with one step. If you're looking, those that actually failed today actually started fighting today. If you want to win tomorrow's battle, you've got to start fighting from today.
That's right.
Absolutely. So.
Well, fantastic. Well, it's been a pleasure having you, and
pleasure.
I'll definitely be the first one to jump on that. Is it Chinedu line or line? But I think it's very positive, and I think viewers out there need to start. I think we need to believe less criticize, but I think let's also
Be more optimistic.
and
Absolutely,
believe.
yeah.
Well, we wish you the best.
Thank you so much for coming, and thank you for being part of the change, in Africa.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so we will go on a quick break now to take Africa in the SQ. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. You're watching the Ben Breakfast Show. Thank you so